Welcome to Urban Fantasy PH. We are creatives who live in an urban society and give readers wish fulfillment by way of our stories, which is fantasy but reflective of reality. Here, we get to talk to fellow creatives like writers, authors, artists, comic book creators, filmmakers, you name it. We create and share our art here in the Philippines as well as abroad. My name is CJ Edmunds, I'm your host, and here is today's episode. Happy Wednesday morning, hello, and hope you all woke up on the right side of the bed. If in case you didn't, then perfect timing. We've got another episode to cheer you up. Our show is aired every Wednesday, both for Spotify and on my YouTube channel. So you have the option to listen to us or watch us. We give you that choice, whether you want to listen or watch. Please click the subscribe button and ring the bell so you do not miss a single episode, and you will be notified when the new one comes along. Now, all of our past episodes are all ready for you to return to or listen to chronologically. That is, if you are listening to us for the first time. Today is episode 24 of the podcast, and we have on board an artist who takes his art very seriously. Now, I know that holds true for all artists, but if you are a freelance artist, every output counts. From commission work to his current stint drawing for comic books like IDW, and covers for issues of, let's say, G.I. Joe and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes, Cowabunga, kids. He is also part of the newly launched comic entitled The Sacrificers, along with another artist named Elmer Santos, and is released under Image Comics. Now, our guest certainly has a good foundation to leap off further into the stratosphere, and the time is right indeed now, today, for him, not just to talk about the work that he did for others, but mainly for the one that he does for himself, which is his own comic. A warm welcome in a Wednesday morning. Hello to Mr. Roi Mercado.
Hello, hello. That's
Roy.
Probably one of the best intros I've ever received, man. Yeah. So hello to your listeners.
The honor is ours. The honor is ours. Yeah. I saw your comic first not in Comic Year, where I recently met you in person,
Mhm.
but actually in ToyCon. When there was a table, there was a table there, and they were selling your comic, Ophir. I was curious when I saw it, and issue 2 was the one that I saw because the cover was red. And me being a Sith at heart, you know that red speaks naturally to us. But sample, ayan, pula kung pula.
Wala,
Diba?
yes.
That's issue number 2. Here's issue number 1.
Yeah.
So hindi siya contrast siya. So now you know why black and red are two of my favorite colors as well. But curious, is Ophir your current and personal venture into comics, or have you entered and printed your own before?
Fear was the first.
Mhm.
Although hindi ko naman siya in well, um, I wanted to get into comics, but at that time, the I wasn't given the opportunity um, to enter comics yet.
Mhm.
So I have to make my own path para mag-break into the career of making comics.
Right.
So one of the options I have is to write my own.
Okay.
So yun yung birth, or let's say yung start ng aking comics career started with Ophir, and it's like I have to do it kasi kung hindi ko siya magagawa, baka wala
Mhm.
na akong chance.
Okay.
So yeah, yun yung
Why did you feel na that's the only chance that you got at that time?
um well, I started drawing really really young.
Mhm.
Kasi my dad used to be an artist then.
Nice.
So the influence was there. Pero yung art ko, I kept it for myself. And sobrang I remember my mom don't want me to be an artist kasi during the 90s, we all know na nagkaroon ng massive crash ba yung ating local comic book industry, and
Mhm.
isa sa mga collateral was my dad's career.
Okay.
So we had a really tough time during those years. Kaya when my mom saw that I was getting into art, getting
Mm-hmm.
into drawing, medyo nag-worry siya na I might end up like my dad.
Got it.
So, of course, as a mother, she wants her son to have a better future. So, I think that's the mainly the reason why she was kind of harsh on me experimenting in art, and pag nakikita niya ako nagdo-drawing. And there was this one time na I remember, um, kasi paghapon, for those who are not aware, or not, for those non-Filipino listeners, kapag
Okay.
hapon, uh, your
Yeah.
mom or your
Tulog.
grandma
Yeah.
tells you to take a nap. Di
Yeah.
ba? So, kailangan mo matulog paghapon. Pag
Yeah.
hindi ka natulog, di ka maglalaro after 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. So,
Yeah,
kapag
that's right. Because if you don't take a nap, according to our elders, you will not grow up to be a strong, you know,
or you'll not
strong
grow.
man or whatever. You won't
Grow.
grow up. You'll
Yeah.
always be short. Yeah,
Yeah.
five what,
Yep. Yeah.
5 feet. Well,
Well,
hindi ka nilalaki. Well,
siguro kaya hindi rin ako naging 6-footer. So, um hindi ako masyadong natutulog ng hapon. So,
mhm.
pinagalitan ako ng mom ko kasi hindi ako natulog ng hapon at nag-drawing lang ako. And
Okay.
hindi ko ginawa yung assignments ko. So, sabi niya, ayaw mong tumigil mag-drawing ha. Huwag kang matutulog. So, I think I was forced to stay up until siguro mga late na yung 10-11 p.m. Medyo hilo na ako ng 10-11 p.m. That was one of the lagi ko kinukwento sa mom ko, hindi siya naniniwala na ginawa niya sa akin yun. Pero it was out of love. It
Mm-hmm.
was out of love, of course, kasi yeah. So I kept it for myself, and I only showed it to my closest friends. And ayun, pero I since nag-start ako mag-drawing, um, I was really into drawing
Mm-hmm.
comic book pages. Um, I don't know kasi siguro hindi ako naging successful. I tried portrait, pero hindi ako masyado naging successful sa pag-drawing ng portrait. I tried painting, pero hindi ako
How about yung
successful sa pag-paint.
charcoal prints or whatever, Because, yeah,
Yeah, hindi rin talaga
hindi
eh.
rin,
Hindi rin talaga. So the obvious path for me is drawing comic books, but just for myself. So years go by. I studied business, and I eventually work. Pero nagdo-drawing pa rin ako for personal, parang ano para siyang naging therapeutic, my own personal therapy,
mm-hmm.
yung pagdodrawing ng comics. And there was this one time na tinanong ako ng girlfriend ko before, na misis ko na ngayon, na
Nice.
ano, kasi it was super late. Tapos sabi ko sa kanya, sige, mag-stay up pa ako, late na ako matulog. Tapos tinanong niya ako, ano ba ginagawa mo? Dinadrawing ko kasi itong I was drawing Batman back then. Batman pages. Nag-download ako ng sample scripts. Tapos I tried to draw. Just to challenge myself, parang yun. Sabi niya, papagod ka dyan, ipapasa mo ba yan or may parang nagpapagod ka dyan, ikaw lang naman nakakakita niyan. Parang wala ka namang
Mm.
wala ka namang nakukuha ang iba dyan. Parang
Okay.
ako, oo nga, sobrang tagal ko nang nagre-drawing pero parang saan ba pupunta to? Di ba? So, yun yung parang naging turning point
Mm-hmm.
ng ng aking artist life. Artist life. So, ano, nag, 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 from then, nag-start ako na maghanap ng path to finally making or making comics na as a full-time career.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was 2017, late 2017, early 2018.
Okay.
Sobrang
Uh,
sobrang late.
the landscape. Well, no, I don't think anything. I don't think anything is late. You get into things for me at the exact right time when you're meant to get into it, and what people are getting into it and realizing that is that the landscape has definitely changed for comic book creators,
Yeah.
especially independent ones, because there was a time when all consumers obviously saw were the big names. You know, I don't need to know, I don't need to name who the big names are. Everyone knows who they are because they see them being adapted to cinema.
Yeah.
But now more and more independently published comics are entering the arena, getting recognized and becoming traditionally published and becoming mainstream while still keeping their sense of the independent spirit alive. Of course, we have Trece to thank for that. Thank you, Budget.
Yeah.
And because of that, indie seems to be the mainstream now. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that seems
And
to be.
no, I think, well, not to get into the controversy, but I think um, the patrons of comics tend to agree na lalo na ngayon there are indie creators na sobrang talented, the writers sobrang creative na it would be a hard comparison kung ito compare mo siya sa mainstream comics.
Mm. True. Siyempre, the mainstream ones will have big offices and a disposal of artists and inkers and pencilers and
Yeah, yeah.
at their, you know, but it does not to sort of like quantify that and weigh it because of who's more passionate, the indie or the mainstream. Can't quantify it that way.
Yeah.
And hindi ka kaya because it's when you put something, your heart and soul into a project, you literally as an artist put your heart and soul into the project, and so that by that alone, it cannot be quantified. But let's get back to your comic, which is entitled Ophir. And at first glance, a casual reader may think that Ophir stands for simply the epic tale that you're trying to tell. But something tells me that it is rooted both in mythology and our own history. And if my hunch is correct, it would align with the answer that you're going to give our listeners and readers. And I don't want to spoil anything by depriving you of the chance to tell them why did you name it Ophir and why is that the title of the comic?
Um,
And that's issue one. Refresher.
um, During the time na I was writing the book, I was currently reading um, and researching for a good. Well, I was into pre-colonial stuff sa
Mhm.
Philippines, pre-colonial culture. I was deeply reading into articles and old books, and I stumbled upon this article. Now I'm not saying it's correct or it is what it is or what they're claiming is true. We
Mhm.
have absolutely no way of telling that it's accurate at the moment. Pero
Hmm.
it's super controversial for me that I just have to do it.
Okay.
So that article is claiming that the Philippines under uh well if you uh basically they're saying the Philippines is the ancient land of Ophir. And if you consider all the loots King Solomon gathered in the Bible, you would end up all those loots are found in just one place. So they're claiming it is the Philippines, the pre-colonial Philippines,
Right.
and it's an idea na I'd love to to believe na it's true, pero I still have my reservations. But for a selling standpoint, I think it would tickle a lot of um,
Readers.
interests,
Yes.
yes,
Yes. Yes.
and readers. Because ano
Exactly.
kasi, medyo it's it's purely a selling or a business decision, you might say.
Hmm.
So it's a super fun exercise.
Yeah, I agree, and it obviously it did make me notice, like, hey, I know this word.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there are some people also who are talking about it, on TikTok,
Oh,
about, yeah, about this, that, I mean, we are rumored to be either it's either us or some other Southeast Asian
yeah,
nation,
most
but if,
likely. Yeah,
yeah, and if ever, and it would really sound tragic if we ourselves did not realize that we are our own El Dorado, and we have
yeah,
been, and we're not maximizing whatever riches that we have and using it to reap the benefits for everyone in this country. Then
yeah.
I'm just gonna be
I
scratching my
happen,
head and
uh,
wondering what's gonna happen to us in the next 10 years.
yeah, I happen to come across, syempre siguro parang, imposible naman na, I won't come across a, a fellow uh, uh, creator na believes that Philippines is Ophir. Pero I happen to come across one, and I remember us talking about it, and I told him na it would be great if we are Ophir.
Mm-hmm.
Pero I think as much as ano as us as a country, as a people, na knowing that we are what they claim to be, I think ang pinaka important na na mangyari is for us na living today
Mm-hmm.
is to give importance to the culture that we have right now, not the culture that we lost.
Okay. Yeah.
Kasi if we don't value what we have now, we will end up our future, our sons and daughters will end up like us, not knowing who you used to be, di ba?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have to make an effort to preserve what we have now para kung tayo man yung who we claim to be, eh, yung mga generations after us will not, ano, do the same guesswork that we're doing.
Okay. Yeah.
Di ba? So, yun yung sabi ko sa kanila. Parang, kasi, parang, uh, um, I think that's the more important issue
Mm-hmm.
for me that time.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
and culture. and whether it's pre-colonial or post-colonial, culture as a basis will be there. But
Mhm.
I'm sure you'd agree that culture will evolve in time.
Yeah.
Whatever happened, whatever was true for the 1940s is not going to be the same as it is now. There will be Filipino things that we used to do before pre-war, but post-war, things would have changed and things would adapt. And as a creative, I'm sure that you also need to feel the need to do that, to adapt to new things,
Yeah.
and new tools, new ways of storytelling, and new ways of presenting. I love the world building that you have in the comic. I mean, you have a map of the three main lands at the back of the
Yeah.
cover, diba? So parang, yeah, three big maps. They are Sugbo, Pugad Bato, and Buol. Is that it? Is that the
Yeah.
right one?
Yeah.
Buol. Yeah. Interesting that the calligraphy of the names are also uh, pre-colonial Filipino-ish kind of,
Yeah. Medyo.
uh, which is, it ties in with the theme. So I was wondering, did you base these names by way of, let's say, a point in history, or are these original names as you name these lands when you're creating?
No, it's since the only material I have was during the ano well my reference book was Pigafetta's account.
Mm.
So it's around
Antonio
that
Pigafetta.
time. Yeah. Yeah. So if yung yung mga yung mga medyo slightly history buffs, they would recognize those islands as Cebu, Bohol,
Mhm. Yes.
and the other one, Mactan. So yeah, it was kasi sobrang for me it was super cool studying history, and it's ano definitely gives us something to ano
To
it's
be proud
something
of,
to
I guess.
to well siguro to be proud of, or it's kind of a lens that we can use move forward
Mm-hmm.
to move forward kasi if parang it's a good family portrait.
Okay, yes, a good family portrait. I guess I've never really discovered it up until of late, that in my own readings, that I feel like I'm some sort of world building geek as well. And
Hmm?
in creating, do you feel that your characters are born out of the setting, or do your characters dictate the world that you create? I don't know if I'm making sense with the question,
Hmm?
but like maybe if you name a place, do the elements of the setting dictate how the people in that setting are first, or do you map out the kind of people before the surrounding comes in?
Um, well, my characters obviously was created uh, after the setting.
Okay.
Kasi I don't want to look foolish sa readers. So, medyo, medyo, if I'm pulling off fictional history, I should have at least a decent,
Mhm.
a decent historical grounding. So, if I'm going to insert a character na off sa time period, it
Mhm.
would not work.
Okay.
So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It did. It did. The first thing I liked about your characters is that they sort of have a look to themselves,
Yes.
or their personality defines their facial expression. I mean, your main Datu Sindak, the leader of Pugal Bato, which is, if you are looking at the map, it's this little island right here. Okay. He has a scar in his face that runs across his eye. And that makes him always, he looks wary on almost
Yeah.
everything. Like Like lagi siyang pagod. He's so tired of having to keep the peace, having to keep the balance. And yet, there is that equal measure of resolve that he must do it because he is Datu after all. And who else is going to do it if not him? His right man, Campilan, seems to have this the potential to do or to be two things. Pwede siyang maging matini idol who will have
Yeah.
followers swoon over him, and if need be, a witty retort or a remark if he's asked to speak his mind. Si
Yeah.
ano naman, si Raha Talim, the leader of Sugbo, which is the biggest of the three regions, diba? Obviously, pinakamalaki. He has that face of someone who cannot be trusted, and he will have the potential of being a character who can equally stab you in the back at the risk of sounding racist. His eyes look a little bit more slanted, and his brows are usually furrowed and knitted together. So, did you base these characters on real people before drawing them, or spoiler comment?
No. No. Pero thank you for those kind comments. Kasi um, nobody has I think, well, they obviously have read the comic, pero I haven't received any similar comments like just what you just did. So thank you, and I'm glad that you noticed. So, um, pero the characters were uh, um, that Dato Sindak was is a character na um, I wanted him to project a vibe um, na this book is a serious book.
Okay.
But I don't want the readers to, during that time, writing the comic book, I don't want the readers to get bored or see the comic as a
History lesson.
another Conan book. So
Okay.
I want them to have a comic relief. So kaya meron tayong kampilan.
Yeah.
So I am I had a lot of time. I had a lot of fun writing this comic, and until now, um, I'm current. I don't I don't know if I'm rushing. Rushing if you're leading me somewhere, but at this moment I am currently writing. It's basically almost done
Mm-hmm.
on the writing end, and I hope yung the readers um, are excited to finally uh, have this book finished. Finished hopefully. Pero yun, I hope na I've pulled it off, pero sana uh, they enjoy the book as much as I did writing it.
Is this issue three, or would this be a compilation of the first arc of the entire series?
Uh, this is the compilation of the whole story na.
Okay.
So this will be a
So
one shot.
all right.
And it's, well, at this time of the recording, I don't see uh, um, another book after this one.
Okay.
So it's a definite end.
It's a definite end. All right. All right. So it's a one shot, but will it address? Well, okay. That's why I'm asking, because there was a scene where Dato Sindak's brother Zula was speaking to the Dato of Sugbo,
Yeah.
and he alluded to a tragedy that happened to his brother, and asked for clemency because he is in mourning. So I don't know if I missed it, but is there a backstory to this, and will we see it expounded more in future issues?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. It will be expounded, and hopefully it will all make sense
all right.
if you read the book. And it's, well, I hope I can pull it off, and it will be a lot of pages. It will be a lot of pages, a lot of work,
Okay,
pero
good, good.
uh, our target is around siguro second or third quarter of 2024.
All right. Okay, we will be on the lookout for that. So at least we know what's on the horizon for you and what's keeping you busy. The other thing that I also enjoyed in your comic is also the way that you panel your stories. I mean, some scenes will have a complete page in itself, and others will overlap between two pages, only to switch things up a bit again in the next page. How do you decide how to panel, or is that a secret recipe sauce na hindi pwedeng sabihin, that they cannot be revealed, like I don't know, Voldemort gravy or something? Teka, parang
Right.
bawal, parang pangit pakinggan, Voldemort gravy, lasahan mo na lang, parang ayoko.
um, for context, I wrote that wala pa akong, hindi, I haven't worked professionally.
Okay.
So, at that time, I'm experimenting. Pero there was this specific page na two-page spread. I don't know
Mhm.
if this was, I think this was on number two.
Okay. Siyempre, kadali-dali, pwede kong ano, buklatin sa
Oh,
tabi ko lang, eh,
there,
di ba?
um, yung the part where Dato Sindak defended one of the defended one of the elders sa palengke.
Okay. Sa palengke, yes, the old woman.
Yeah, the old woman.
The hysterical
Um,
old woman.
yeah, I think if it, well, dalawa lang naman yun. Kung hindi sa number two, nasa number one siya. Pero I remember writing this purely dahil I was fascinated uh, um, at that time I was studying the weapons they used back then, and I stumbled on this video na well, sabihin ko na, I saw this video of Doug Marcaida. I don't know if you know him,
Mm-hmm.
pero he's on Forged in Fire. He's a Filipino,
Okay.
and he showed this exhibition how to use a karambit.
Mm.
So, a karambit is a small blade na merong hole to put your finger into to for stability. So, back then, the people in the Southeast Asia use karambit as a gardening tool.
Yes.
So it's not really a weapon, and super, parang ang cool lang niya if you the context of karambit. And I'm trying to, parang it's supposed to uh develop the character of Datu Sindak.
Okay.
Kasi he didn't use a brutal sword to
There it is. I'm showing it on the screen in a way
yeah, a
for people
brutal
who don't know.
sword, a big sword, and ang parang isa siyang cool way of showing his character, his strength as a
Mm-hmm.
warrior. So ayun, and yung sobrang cool nung exhibition ni Dog Marcaida na yung page ended up looking like how to book.
How to
Yung
use a
parang yung
karambit.
yeah, yeah. So yung parang yung mga karate books, 'di ba, yung they show
Yeah.
the katas. So parang it ended up looking like that one. So sobrang fun nung exercise na yun. And I hope I pulled it off.
Yeah. For those who are wondering what the panel is or where it is,
Yeah,
this is
that's that
yeah,
page.
that's the one. And you can see here in this hawak-hawak niya. Para siya nakatago. It's very it's a very sly weapon
Yes.
when you thought that your enemy doesn't have anything that you can put the thumb here, nakatago siya. So pag
Yep.
ginanong ka, diba, you can
You're
easily
dead.
slash someone's throat off, diba?
Yeah.
Who says you need 5 fingers like Freddy Krueger to get the job done? Isang ganyan lang, you're done. Diba?
Yes.
So yeah, thank you for that backstory. So at least we kind of sort of know now. And for those who are wondering if they've ever heard of the word karambit for the first time, then now you sort of have an idea
Now we
of
know.
what it's for and how deadly it is if you are able to wield it properly.
Yeah.
There is a saying that you are what you eat for people who are probably on a diet. But for writers, what is more applicable is you are what you read. So, as running growing up, were there kinds of comics that you specifically read, or did you also happen to be a book person at the same time?
No, I'm not a book person. And although I do have a couple of comic books na I've read when I
Hmm.
was young, I'm not a, uh, I'm not a comic book nerd.
Okay.
Not a comic book reader. And mabibilang lang sa daliri yung comic books na nabasa ko.
All right.
I was really into art. And weirdly enough, yung mga books na nabasa ko was some were autobiography, a couple of books, business books.
Hmm.
So it was a complete parang completely different ano uh, field kumbaga.
Okay.
hindi siya related sa comic books, yung mga books na binabasa ko. Although I really really love movies, especially the newer ones. And during the time na I was writing this, um I I have to kumbaga, since wala akong idea how to write anything, I have no reference kung paano magsulat. Um, I looked up how to write comic books,
Hmm.
and uh, wala masyadong material out there how to successfully write a comic book. So, I ended up reading Dan Harmon and a couple of articles how to write a screenplay.
Okay.
I'm not that good, syempre. hindi pa ako, like I said, I read it for the sake of studying how to construct and plot a story.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not that good, sorry. I'm not that good.
No,
Pero
don't
I'm
apologize for
learning,
that.
I'm learning. So,
Yeah.
medyo lately na lang nung nag-start ako na mag-read and uh, magkaroon ng interest sa comic books. And mostly because of my friends din na kilala ko when I started making comics.
if let's say if someone had an idea to write their own comic or probably even draw it, where would you suggest that they begin? Words first or the art comes first?
You definitely have to have the story or the words first.
Okay.
Kasi just like yung napag-usapan natin earlier. Kasi you at least have to have a vision
Mm.
of where your story is going. So that would that would help you to visualize your character.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to have your story down
The
first.
story first. Okay. All right. Everybody approaches their art, differently. Would you happen to have a system when you work your art? Like you work better at night, or do you prefer to work in the morning after a big dose of coffee to wake you up?
um, I don't have a specific schedule.
Hmm.
Um, pero most of the time, well, pag pinagagalitan ako ng mga artist friends ko, yung wife ko kasi I work in the morning
Okay.
until the next morning.
Ay,
so
ala.
so
Wow, that's a
hanggang
long
hanggang
hours.
na siya hanggang madaling araw. Pero kasi in the morning since I have 3 kids.
Hmm.
So in the morning uh, I I do mostly inks in the morning and I reserve yung medyo creative bulk ng work during the night kasi mas nakakapag-isip ako, mas tahimik
Hmm. Yeah.
since
Quieter.
tulog na yung kids, wala na masyadong maingay. Walang kakatok na Shopee. So so sa umaga
That's
kasi di ba
earlier.
umaga dumadating yung mga nagde-deliver ng mga orders ko eh. So
True, true, true. That's right. Guilty.
so I don't know about you pero ikaw ba what time ka ba usually nakakapag-write ng dire-diretso?
For me, it's usually either in the morning or after lunch,
Oh,
where yeah, where things are are more settled in since I'm sort of like
is that
working
early
home.
morning like 5 a.m.
Oh,
or
no, 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 sorry. Morning in a sense, after breakfast, as soon as when I wake up, 9 or 10, ganon.
mm,
So I would um I would try like schedule it in the sense that okay, since I'm also learning a new language, I will do a little bit of that in the morning, just before lunch, and then do the bulk of the writing in the afternoon. Clock in my word count for at least for the day for the afternoon, and then errands late afternoon going to gabi. I find it harder to write at night when everyone is here because ang dami ng tao sa bahay and it's like, oh, let's do this, oh, let's do that. It's like and I don't know, maybe it just feels sort of a letdown when you say, oh, I can't because I have to write, parang
mm,
ganon.
mm,
So parang okay, sige, I flip things around and just do things when ako pa lang ang nandito, no one's here yet, and so me and just the dogs, and maximize that time as much as I can. Yeah, and if I have to read, then I'll just read sa gabi na lang. Parang ganun.
so baligtad pala sa inyo, sa gabi may tao.
Oo. Yep, it's the other way around.
Well, that makes sense kaya yung bulk ng creative work mo sa morning.
Yeah, it's
Kasi
in the
mas
it's in the
less yung
morning.
distraction kapag
Yes. Oh, I guess it's that for anyone also who's yeah. So that's the other way around for me. During the day, mas walang tao, but at night, that's when everyone's here, and I try not to kind of like burst their bubble and say that I can't because I'm busy. But if I really have to and I need the extra time at night, they will understand. So okay naman din yung ganyan. So the thing about creating is that it doesn't have a fixed linear timeline as you go along. I mean, let's
Yes.
say characters or setting or even the plot itself gets changed when you work on a project. Is there anything that surprised you when you were working on the comic that was not in the original plan?
Um, yes. There's definitely a major development when I
Mm-hmm.
was writing the whole story na. When I can visualize, I have a whole picture view of the whole story.
Okay.
And I kind of move a couple of things and from it, so I won't change the first two,
All right.
yung printed. Pero I have this plan kasi I have the story laid out before I drew the first two issues. Pero that story was changed drastically after the first two books. So there's a huge change kung if you see the first initial plan for the story. Oh, that's a surprise for me kasi nga akala ko okay na eh. Akala ko
Mm-hmm.
maganda na yung story. So
Yeah.
um yun, siguro dahil din nagkaroon din ng other influences along, syempre, tagal ko nang isinulat yung first one, second one. I think it's been a year after number two, or 2 years after
Mm.
nilabas ko yung number two. So,
Okay.
merong, important changes na nangyari and it's more exciting for me to nung habang sinusulat ko kasi maraming naging inspirations
Okay.
between you know number two and ano,
And
finally
the ones that
writing the whole.
after.
Yes.
The whole thing. I know I asked you this during Comiceria, but is there a reason why both of them were not of the same size? This is obviously
Yes.
smaller, and this is the standard size that we know as a comic book. But if in case people have not asked you that, would you mind answering why they're not the same size?
Because the first, well, the number one that you're holding right now is the second Ashcan print.
Okay.
It's an Ashcan
Okay.
print for nung number one. First one was obviously kasi nung number two
Yeah.
na
Of
meron
the
ka,
second.
and it's
Right.
in black and red then. So
Mm, okay.
maraming naghahanap ng number one kasi nga para pair siya.
Oo.
So
Isa
I
na ako doon.
printed yes. I printed copies of the number one kasi nga I'm saving up para sa medyo medyo malaki yung cost printing the
The whole
whole book.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
ang plan ko pa colored siya. So
Uy, nice.
medyo marami-rami tayong susunugin susunugin pera sa sana wag
Mabigo.
mapanood to ng wife ko para
Siguro after ano na lang, after September. Oh boy.
yun.
Part two of that question, is there something that you omitted from issue one and two, maybe because of creative logistics? You felt that this particular storyline would be better presented after, or maybe it lost its appeal as you continued writing and drawing it?
Um, yes, merong mga scenes na I omitted sa first two and sa
Mm-hmm.
whole story, sa buong
Okay.
storyline. Because of the changes. And merong mga scenes na I reserved for the back then, the next issues. So, mababasa na naman nila yun sa
Sa
paglabas
compendium.
ng book. Yes.
Okay. All right. We're sort of nearing the tail end of the interview. Any word of advice out there that you would like to give for aspiring or fellow creatives?
Oh, there's this question again. You really okay, well, ano talaga siya, kumbaga parang um,
I guess it's part of it because there will always be a new creative born every day, as you know. In
yeah,
as a flip side to the age old adage that there's a fool born every day, I'd like to change that a bit and say that there is a creative born every day.
yes,
So
yes,
we may have lived on this earth for quite a while, and even if we're starting our art now, there will be people who are discovering their art, even just later than ours. And if in case you guys who are listening, you guys who are watching, you're one of them, you would benefit from listening to someone who's done basically that is
yeah,
fulfilled their dream and created their own comic.
yes, yes. I agree. I agree. If there's well, there is no one way of doing things.
Okay.
Um, and walang there's no formula for success. There's no one formula for success.
Hmm.
You have to find your own voice din eh. Just like what I did. And
It's like as much as there is no one linear path to creation, there's also no one linear path to the end result of having it in your hands. Parang ganon.
yeah,
Diba?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If well, I remember this ano na lang. I'll tell you a story na lang.
Okay, great. We love
Back
stories.
back in college. Um, we have to have we don't have board exam.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we need to have uh, a feasibility study. So parang mag-set up ka ng business.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this one time na parang hindi parang kinonsider ko na mag ano mag-drawing, maggawa ng comic book. Pero I don't know how,
Mm-hmm.
and I currently don't have the resources that time. Tinanong ako nung isa sa mga professor sa faculty. Uh, I went to the faculty to consult if if tama ba yung ginagawa ko.
Mm-hmm.
Tama ba yung ginagawa ko, or is this the right decision for me at that time? So, sinabi niya, this is how you do it. So, binigyan niya ako ng plan. So, binigyan niya ako nag-construct pa siya ng how you write, how you, paano gumawa ng three, at that time, yung three arc na sa story.
Your structure, yes.
Yes, three arc structure. Tapos paano mo i-develop ang isang character. Tapos so after nung matagal niyang explanation, ano nalunod lang ako dun sa lahat ng information. Parang I told him na ang gusto ko lang naman talaga mag-drawing eh. So so nung time na yon I probably have the help that I need, pero at that time I wasn't ready.
Okay.
So for all those creators na ano, want to start, uh, I think na we have to go through things and situations na that would help us be the creator that we need to be. And those
Mhm.
experiences are essential.
Okay.
And those experiences will help you out na, na make or forge the vision na you're developing and make it clearer, diba? You have to go through fire. Well, I hope na the fire will only help the vision, help you have your vision clear and make you, who you are as a creator. And, yeah, kung ano yung ginagawa nyo ngayon, continue doing it,
Mhm.
and your time will come. You don't have to force anything. Kasi when the time comes, you'll be forced to make the decision to jump or not to jump.
Okay.
Diba? To walk on the water or not. Kasi there will always be the call when the time comes.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
yun lang.
Um, okay. Words of wisdom, indeed. The time will come where you are asked to, jump into things, and that's the time that you
Parang si
decide.
Peter. Si Peter nung, uh, well, magiging, magiging Bible study tayo dito. Pero, I always look back to, to the good book. And, merong isang story where Peter and the other disciples is going through, well, nasa lake sila.
Hmm.
And, sobrang lakas ng storm.
Hmm.
Tapos, nagka-capsize na yung boat nila. So, tapos bigla meron silang nakita may nakita silang figure, and akala nila it was a ghost. And um and Peter called out and asked the person if it was him, if it was Jesus. And then
Hmm.
the boys called back and told Peter to walk on water. So, yung I think for me during my journey, it was not an easy ride going, deciding if I'm going for this career. It wasn't an easy ride. Hindi rin when nung nag-decide na ako, hindi rin easy.
Yeah.
Sobrang daming nangyari after, syempre nga, with the pandemic and everything. Pero it was not an easy ride. Pero if the time is right and you decided, just like Peter, you'll walk on water.
Okay.
If you answer the call, if the time is right, even sa gitna ng storm, you will walk on water.
All right. I like that. I like it. I was going to ask you what's the next on the horizon for you, but since we were already talking about it, what keep me busy is basically the whole compendium of
Mm-hmm.
Ophir, and that for sure is keeping you busy all the way till next year. Apart from your own obligations to IDW and drawing covers for the comics that you're
Day
tasked.
job. Parang naging day job na yung
Oo,
nag-switch
baliktad.
na, no?
Oo nga, baliktad eh, the other way around. For those who want to get a copy of Ophir, where can they get a copy of this?
Alright, so this episode will come out September, right?
Yes.
So, by then, you'll probably be able to buy this in Comic Odyssey sa
Okay.
Robinson.
All right.
So,
Only in Robinsons or sa baba may comic book? Wala na sa
well,
BGC.
I have to ask them. Pero siguro, I'll give them enough copies to cover all their branches siguro. So, kasi
Okay.
meron pa
Oh,
akong marami-rami pa yung copies ko dito. And
okay.
uh, hindi na ako baka hindi na rin ako magbenta sa Shopee
Aha.
kasi para less work.
Okay.
So,
Or just simply
ayun,
go to Comic Kit or go to the cons to meet you personally, and I'm sure you'll have these over there. Diba?
yeah, maybe a couple.
Yeah. You know. All right. If they want to know more about your work and you as well on social media, well, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Roi Mercado and on Facebook, Roy.Ross.
All right. That's ROI or
Yes,
Return on
on
Investment.
investment. Tapos Mercado
Perfect.
pa, no?
Oo.
Market.
Diba? Very good.
Bentang-benta.
Bentang-benta talaga. There is always meaning in one's name. Never deny that. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. That is a wrap for today. Thank you so much, Roy. This has been an enjoyable morning to speak with you about creation and about comics. Thank you for joining us in this episode. Thank you also to Spine Books for your support since day one. If you want to get a copy of personally my own stuff, simply visit the Spine Book Shopee page, and I'll put the link on the show notes as well. The link would be shopee.ph slash spinebooks. If you are a creative and you would like to be featured on the podcast, you can email us at urbanfantasyph@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and as well as Threads, and me over at cjedmunds.com. Until the next episode, until the next guest, Indie Creatives Unite. Keep creating, and all of us, we will keep reading. So stay safe, stay creative. Namaste. Blessed be. That was another episode of Urban Fantasy PH. Join us next time as we feature another creative soul who wants their art to be seen, heard, and shared. If you have your own work to share, just email us at urbanfantasyph@gmail.com. Till the next episode, this is independent author, singer-songwriter, radio personality, voice actor, and fellow creative, CJ Edmunds, reminding you to always listen to your heart, create with your mind, and share with your soul. Goodbye, everybody. Namaste. Blessed be.